Hey, what's up guys? It's Art Book Addiction here, and we're here with a new artist journey video. So today, we're going to be talking about standards, alright? In the art world, there are very few things you can control. You know, you can control your work ethic, you can control your output, you know, but you can't really control how people react to your work. You can't control how much your work is going to succeed. You can't really, you don't really know a lot of things, especially like even in art, like even the art that you make, you may not know the results that you're going to make. Maybe you have an idea, maybe in the creation things change, you know, as they always do, you know, through the iterative process. So there's a lot of things that aren't really in control when you're making work and when you're making art, okay? But the one thing that you can control are your standards, okay? What are you willing to put out there, okay? What are you willing to say, hey, this is my work, this is my name, and I'm gonna have a certain standard of quality, okay? So that's what we talk about today. But before we start the video, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my prints and Patreon if you want to support the channel, and consider becoming a channel member. And with that, let's get into it. Okay, so as you've probably already noticed, I've had a little change of layout, right? This is just maybe for this episode, maybe a little bit more, but basically I wanted to show off my rack right here, okay? This painting rack, you know, me and my dad have been making it, and you know, for me, it's the first time I've actually done any kind of like woodwork, okay? And this has brought upon me the idea for this video, okay, which is quality, okay, standards, all right? Because for art, I have very, very high standards especially for myself, okay, and the artwork that I enjoy. Maybe less so for the art that I enjoy, because that could vary, you know, but for the standard that I wanted to output for this piece right here, for this rack, I want it to be of the highest standard that I could get to with my knowledge, okay? Which means that we needed to, you know, cut right, we needed to sand correctly, all right? We needed to get it to beautiful polish, okay, beautiful shine, and to varnish, you know, correctly and get the right layer to get the right feel, okay? And this had me thinking about where did I feel this? Where did I feel these like standards of quality? Okay, and that's, you know, it transferred from art. Okay, so like when you're making work, when you're in this world, you really want to have a high standard for yourself. Okay, or at least as high as you can bring it. Okay, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you are like, oh, I want to be like this really great artist, okay, because your skill level may not be there, you know what I mean? But the standard that you put out, okay, is definitely a part of your work, you know what I mean? So like some people, they have lower standards, like, hey, I'm okay with sending out a sketch, you know, I'm okay with you know, I don't need to frame it, I don't need anything, I just need like a piece of paper, you know, a little sketchbook, you know, and like that's good enough for people, okay? For me, I want to complete a work, okay? I want the work to not only feel done, okay, but to exude life, right? And I want to frame that work, and I want to get a nice frame, okay? I don't want to get a shitty frame, you know what I mean? So like there's like layers and layers and layers of quality that you put into it, okay? Like, so like the canvases I use, I don't really care, you know what I mean? The wood panel I use, I don't really care about that, you know what I mean? I just need to buy some brand name. Some people, they want to go the full mile and stretch their own canvas, you know, and choose a certain specific frame. You know, it varies from person to person, okay? But the idea is that everyone has a different level of standards, okay? And for me, you know, I have my standards when it comes to the finish and the frame, Okay, and you know, of course, like the level of painting, the story, you know, all that stuff like that, that's all different levels of quality. Okay, but it I want you guys to think about your standard of quality. Okay, and do you think that your standard of quality is presenting your work in the correct manner? Okay, because there's a lot of people who I think their work is really really great, okay, but they don't want to take the time or spend the money to really make that work shine. Okay, like mostly from like buying a frame or buying the correct paper, you know what I mean. You know, for me, materials, it really depends. Sometimes some people are very anal about having like the exact right paint, you know, or like a certain brand or really expensive paints. I don't really care about that, you know. I could use like student quality paint. I don't really care. I don't think you need to have the best paint in the world. Of course, you don't want to have like like Crayola crayon type of paint, you know what I mean? But like, you know, Winsor Newton, that's fine, you know what I mean? You know, there was Utrecht brand, Blick brand, that's fine, you know what I mean? Of course, you could indulge yourself with the finer brands, but for me, you kind of just feel your way through those things, okay? But you know, the standard of quality is integral to the artist, because at the end of the day, you're a craftsman. Okay, you are you're a craftsman, you're a draftsman, you're someone who makes something. Okay, and what you want to make, of course, when it comes to art, you want to make something of high quality. Okay, so you have to keep those things in mind. So you have to think about that, not just in your work, but in the things that compose your work. Okay, and what level of finish you're willing to put out there. Okay, so you know, I hope for you guys that you have a high set you know, standard of quality, right? That's usually the best. Okay, sometimes, you know, you don't want to overdo it and go like I want like the craziest thing, because then it's, you know, then you're putting too much time and effort into the work, and maybe you're spending too much money on a single work that may not be, you know, like worth it, you know what I mean? But like, you're the judge of that, you know. That's for you to figure out. Okay, I don't want your standards to be the same as my standards. Okay, we all have those different aspects to ourselves. Okay, and it's different for the standard of art that we enjoy versus the art that we make. Okay, so for me, the art that I enjoy, right, like for that standard, I think I usually enjoy, of course, like a high level of draftsmanship. Okay, of course, like a good level of render, color, all that stuff. But I am willing to enjoy, you know, lower tier stuff, and sometimes like artwork that's not even like people will consider like whoa, professional or anything, right? But for me, my number one thing is, you know, the honesty of the work, the earnesty. Okay, if that work has a soul in it, you know what I mean? If it feels alive, I think I'm willing to forgive a lot of things if the work feels right, if it feels alive. Okay, but you know, I'm willing to give extra points if they have a high level of finish. Okay, if they're really really good at maybe like render or color, if there's something that stands out in their work, you know what I mean? So have that in mind, especially when you're watching my videos when I'm doing the art book reviews. You know, like what I really don't like are things that things that make the work easier to make. Okay, or not easier to make, but like that are like supplemental, like 3D models. Okay, like photo bashing. You know what I mean? It's like, for me, I'm like, I'd rather just take like a simplified version of a tree than a fake tree. You know what I mean? It's those things that interplay between each other that you really gotta know. Okay. Another aspect that I really care about is having everything made by the artist. Okay, every aspect of the process crafted by the artist's hands. Okay, so now we're getting into things like AI. Okay, right, things that assist the artist. Okay, that you know, maybe make it easier, but for me, I'm very purist. You know what I mean? I'm very purist. I want things to be like 100% crafted, no tracing, none of that, pure skill. Okay, of course you could use ref. Okay, ref is very important. You know what I mean? My friend, proposed like, hey, what about AI generated ref? You know what I mean? And I'm kind of against that. You know what I mean? Because I feel like choosing ref, when I say ref, I mean reference. Choosing reference, that's part of the artist's eye as well. Okay, so having a computer create reference, I'm very iffy about it. Okay, I don't want any computer nothing in the work. Okay, like, and I'm not saying like digital work. I'm saying like AI. Okay, like digital, you could do the way you will. Okay, but I'm like, I want you to craft it. I want you to make it. I want you to draw it. Okay, I want you to be part of every process, and you have full control over that. Okay, and that's what makes really great artists. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who like I said, they photo bash, they use 3D models. Okay, they maybe they do like photo collage, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Maybe they combine like reference and then they paint on top. And I'm like, I just don't like any of that. Okay, because for me, I'm like, I want to be able to concentrate on the work and think that it's purely from the artist. Okay, but maybe you guys don't have the same standards. Okay, and I don't expect everyone to have the same kind of standards as I do when it comes to that. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you need to know those things. Okay, right? I encourage you to not use those things. I encourage you to, have a sense of purity to your work. Okay, because I think at the end of the day, it makes better artists. Okay, but you guys should know your own standard of quality. Okay, the bridges you're willing to walk, the help that you're willing to get. Like some people, they like to project. Okay, I would not project. Okay, but people who were really good, like Norman Rockwell, he projected. You know what I mean? He and for certain things, maybe projecting's not so bad. Like using like to paint text, that's fine. You know what I mean? It's like I could understand that because text is hard, signage is hard, but ideally, people would just work from their pure skill alone. Okay, right? And like they could use the assistance of like rulers and stuff like that, using hand tools. Okay, keeping it very simple. Okay, you can use a grid line. I don't care about a grid line. Make that perspective. Okay, but like I said, everything in my eyes should be in service of increasing the skill of the artist, so that they don't need those things. Okay, so that they don't need to have all these extra tools to assist them. Okay, like you should ideally be able to do everything without any tools. Okay, like if I just gave you a pencil, okay, you could still make something. If I just gave you a brush, you can make the thing. Okay, and ideally, I would like people to be able to change mediums. Okay, you could use digital, you could use traditional, you could use paints, you could use pastels, you could use charcoal. Okay, you could use digital, like I said before. But these things, like those are all my standards. Okay, but I think the results show for themselves. You know what I mean? Having those standards brings a certain quality to your work. Okay, it allows you to grow and grow in multiple dimensions. Okay, and as you grow, okay, as your work gets better, your standards should become higher. Okay, that's something that I really want to emphasize. Okay, as you get better, your standards get higher and higher and higher. Okay, you want to build, and you want to build. Okay, and that's just for you. Okay, it's nothing to do with anybody else's work. Okay, of course you might judge other people more. You might think like less of people. You might think more of people. But like this is purely about you and your own work. Okay, and what you're willing to put out, your standard of quality. Okay, and what happens when you have a consistent level of quality, when you have a consistent, like making great work after great work after great work, okay, you get consistency. Okay, and that's like really the great stuff. Okay, right? So, I heard Marco Pierre White, okay, teacher of Gordon Ramsay, he's talking about Michelin stars. Okay, and he's talking about how to achieve all 3 stars, right? And the the first 2 stars are about creating a fine menu, making it really good, having that quality, right? Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. But to get that 3rd star, it's about consistency. It's about doing it again and again and again, time after time after time. Okay, again, like just every time, perfect. Every time, again, perfect. Okay, but food isn't the same as art. Okay, art has it's more malleable. Okay, but like I said, the one thing that you can't control in this chaotic art creation world is what you're willing to put out, what your standards are. If you see a work that you made and you're like, is this good enough? Okay, is this good enough to be put with my other work? Okay, if I had a gallery, okay, and I was showing my work, okay, would I have this piece included? Okay, and that's for you to judge. Okay, that's for you to know and for you to figure out. Okay, and that's a skill in its own right. That's a skill that you have to shape and change, and you know what I mean. And like as you get better, that's gonna get better. So like everything that you learn is just getting for you to get better and better and better. So that like ideally, as you keep going, you'll maximize yourself. You'll maximize your skill and you'll maximize your standards. Okay, and then you'll be outputting consistently fantastic work again and again and again, and that's what the really great artists do. Okay, and they all do this because they have a certain set of great standards. Okay, but yeah, I think we'd end the video here, guys. Please, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my Prince and Patreon if you want to support the channel, ring that bell for notification, consider becoming a channel member, all that bullshit, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks a lot.